Millions of voters will start casting their ballots in the federal election from tomorrow, with hundreds of pre-polling stations opening their doors. The Australian Electoral Commission, of course, oversees the process, and Alex Morris from the AEC joins me now. Alex, thank you so much for your time. Can I start by asking who is eligible for early voting and how many people do you expect will pre-poll?
Well, thanks very much for having me. It's lovely to be here. In terms of who's eligible for pre-poll voting, it's anyone who can't make it to a polling place for whatever reason on Saturday the 3rd of May. So when we talk about that, we're talking about people who might be rostered on to work on that Saturday, people who might have some sort of anticipated medical issue going on that means you might not be able to be mobile or travel on the 3rd of May. Those are the sorts of people who are eligible to cast that early vote or even to apply for a postal vote as well.
Are you expecting it to be well taken up this year? I know there was millions of people that pre-polled last election. Are you expecting the same sort of figures this time?
Australians do love an early vote. We are expecting a pretty high number, somewhere in the region of 6 million plus voters. We're expecting to walk through the doors of our pre-poll centres, potentially a couple of million more casting a vote via postal votes, with a couple more as well being accessed through services that we offer on top of pre-poll voting, such as mobile polling in residential care facilities and even remote voter services, where our teams travel out on helicopters and in boats to the very waterlogged parts of regional Australia right now that are still recovering from that big wet season and getting into communities that are very, very isolated and helping to collect votes there.
We saw record enrolments this year. Have you seen an increase, particularly in regional and remote areas, which are sort of traditionally the lower voter turnout areas?
In terms of the actual increase in enrolment, it's across the board, and by far the largest increase, the largest driver of that increase has been the simple passage of time, more people turning 18 and becoming eligible to vote for the first time. We've seen the roll grow by about 870,000 since the 2022 federal election, which is incredibly healthy. We're very, very glad to see it.
There's obviously been a lot of discussion this election cycle about politicians on TikTok collaborating with influencers online. But what about when it comes to misinformation spreading on social media? How is the AEC sort of keeping track of that? And is there any way to try and mitigate it from your perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. This is something that the AEC takes incredibly seriously, and it's something we've taken seriously for quite a few election cycles now. We've had a campaign called Stop and Consider that is loosely based on a Swedish campaign with a slightly different name that encourages people to check the source of the information that they see, particularly where it's about the election system, because at the end of the day, the best source for information about Australia's electoral system is the AEC. We run the thing after all. We do monitor incidences of dis or false information about Australia's electoral process. If things are particularly bad or egregious or have a really wide audience as well, we'll post them to the AEC's disinformation register, which is a place where we will very quickly and succinctly debunk false information about the electoral process. Important to remember, of course, as well, that we're not the arbiters of truth in political communication. So it's not the AEC's role to step in and say, you know, this candidate has said something that's not accurate, that sort of thing. Not our jurisdiction at all. That is the role of the Australian voter.
How many pre-poll stations will there be open from tomorrow? And I think an important question is, will people be able to get a democracy sausage if they vote early?
We're big fans of the democracy sausages here. They tend to be more prevalent on election day, on the Saturday the 3rd of May. So if you're fanging for a snag, as I certainly am, then I would suggest waiting until election day to cast a vote. For those pre-poll fans, though, we will have 500 plus pre-poll voting centres opening all around Australia. You can find locations for those on our website now. That's aec.gov.au. Just click the Where Can I Vote button.
All right, Alex Morris from the Australian Electoral Commission there for us. Thanks so much.